What's up, y'all? We're talking about the best of May 2024 today.
These metal albums are sure to ravage your brain.
Kicking it off with Thou's Umbilical. Thou have always reveled in misanthropy, right? Challenging their audiences and portraying humanity as a failed experiment through their lyrics. With their new album, Umbilical, everybody's been raving about it. They embraced their sludgy roots while retaining their signature intensity. Vocalist Brian Funk describes the album as a self-critique, confronting compromises that the band has made throughout their careers. Interestingly, Umbilical features a more streamlined approach for the band, which made it easier for me to get into the sludgier kind of doom genre. There are no tracks that exceed the 7-minute mark, and it's got a more traditional song structure throughout the runtime. Despite the shift in the band, though, the album remains heavy as fucking hell. Arguably, their heaviest yet. The lead single, I Feel Nothing When You Cry, which if somebody told me that, I would probably cry, showcases busy drumming and thick as hell guitar riffs, including a faster and them embracing hooks for a change, which was kind of rad. Overall, Umbilical reflects Thou's evolution in a great way, blending grunge kind of subgenre with the sludge that we all know and love while maintaining that experimental edge. It's refreshing as fuck, introspective, and an undeniably heavy offering from the band that just continues to defy easy categorization.
We love do-it-yourself projects here at The Forge. In fact, we ourselves are DIY musicians. We know what it takes to sit down, meticulously track guitar parts and vocals and bass, the intricacies of drum setups. It can be very daunting sometimes. But sometimes it's just best to be simple and kind of weird. This record feels like a descent into madness. Some of the songs on here make me fucking nervous to listen to with the way that the clocks, the alarms, and the other pulsing rhythms are scattered throughout the album to really push a sense of dread onto the listener. Between the first and second act, I'll call it, you really got lost in a trance as the band leans heavily into atmospheric sections. I forgot altogether I was listening to a doom record until the band came back in full force and just caught me off guard. A really pleasant surprise throughout the album as this happens. The usage of electronic and industrial vibes is very, very welcome. The mix is super unique. It's raw and unpolished in a way that sounds like it was recorded on an old 8-track in a basement somewhere. In the Bandcamp page for Doubtsower, their bio, they talk about different practice spaces and areas of their home in which they recorded, and these different environments really shine in the mix. Can't help but want to return to this one just to discover all the little hidden sonic intricacies of this album. This is really cool stuff.
Let's get classical and experimental, folks, with Aquilus, Bellum II. Aquilus is an extraordinary metal band known for their experimental fusion into symphonic classic metal and fusing that with blackened metal. Just 2.5 years after their last release, which is kind of mind-blowing to me, they return here with Bellum II, and that's an album that just truly captivated me. Led by their talented head horseman, Oris Rosenquist, this album continues to reign over the orchestral metal domain, offering a majestic and just immersive as hell experience. Throughout Bellum II, it's heavier than its predecessor, sure, but it places a strong emphasis on orchestration with violin melodies and piano just taking precedence over the traditional metal elements. The album's 8 tracks are structured like a goddamn symphony, and it rules, man. Flowing seamlessly throughout diverse sonic landscapes and just demonstrating impeccable composition and transitions. Bellum II is just a stunning testament to this band's artistry, dude. If you have missed this band for some reason, absolutely go check it out. It is a prominent release in the genre.
You probably wouldn't think of Massachusetts as the state that delivers high-quality stoner doom, but I think we're doing pretty damn well over here between bands like Elder and Black Pyramid. Black Pyramid has been around for a hot minute, and if this record doesn't launch them into new heights, color me surprised. Much like the funeral doom subgenre, stoner doom has to have something interesting going for it to hold our attention. Bands like Electric Wizard are at the bottom of the heap for me because they just get too comfortable in their fuzzed out space. On the other side of the spectrum, you've got bands like Sleep. Delivering highly dynamic song compositions and records that are guaranteed to bust out both indica and sativa, giving you a full spectrum of audio delight. Black Pyramid sits very comfortably in the middle of this stoner spectrum as they deliver strong, neck-breaking riffs alongside that droning, introspective sort of free jam that you expect from bands that indulge in the devil's lettuce. It'd be hard-pressed to revisit this album in its entirety. That's kind of a nick that I would give it, given that it's just about 70 minutes long. I don't know if it's me, man, but I just don't have the time usually to sit down and listen to something like that from front to back. However, there are definitely a couple songs I would throw on a stoner doom playlist, particularly the first 2 tracks. I don't know what their tour schedule looks like by the time this comes out, but if you see their name pop up on a bill near you, definitely jump on that. This is something that you're going to want to see live.
They are absolutely disgusting live. Go see them. Vale of Pnath, between the worlds of life and death. After nearly 8 years, Vale of Pnath makes a triumphant return here with their latest album. Building the foundation on their previous EP, Accursed, this release sees the band exploring darker, blackened influences while staying true to their technical death metal roots. What distinguishes this album is its seamless fusion of extreme metal with compelling melodic themes. The guitars and the orchestral arrangements weave together perfectly, creating moments of urgency and just emotional resonance. In addition to their signature style, Vale of Pnath introduces groovy synth elements on top of the brutal metal, adding a fresh, sophisticated layer to their sound. Enhanced production quality here too allows that intricate instrumentation to stand out and gives those moments where the band holds back a solid foundation before they just pummel the hell out of you. Fans of tech death and extreme metal will find plenty to enjoy here, though the true impact of this album is yet to be seen for Vale of Pnath's legacy.
Ufomammut, Hidden. This is an Italian band with a pretty storied career with over a quarter century together releasing music. That's a pretty monumental feat, if you ask me, especially when you consider that this band has been playing a very niche subgenre within a subgenre. To call this album stoner doom doesn't do it quite justice. In fact, I was finding more tropes from the sludge or post-metal categories. Think bands like Cult of Luna, Neurosis. However, hidden within is a vast expanse of music with winding musical trails that take pages straight out of the stoner and psychedelic cookbook. The dynamics of this record is what seems to stand out for me. No, I don't recall note for note any of the trippy, spaced out jam sections, but I know they're on this record. And they're usually long, drawn out, but still pretty interesting. Alongside these cosmic passages are the sun-sized riffs in tones from this three-piece band. They get loud, with fuzzed out guitars reminding you that this band still knows how to back up a dump truck full of riffs onto your head. I have a soft spot for this blend of space rock, sludge, and stoner metal. It has all the right ingredients in the right proportions for me. Spoiler alert, not an album of the year contender, righteous nonetheless.
Gatecreeper, Dark Superstition. This is their third album and represents a major evolution for the death metal band from Arizona, traditionally recognized for their harsh, desert-influenced, spiky cactus sound. This is the band venturing into further darkness, merging intense heaviness with smooth melodies. Think Dismember leaning into In Flames sound. It's great. While their earlier albums didn't always leave a lasting impression on me, An Unexpected Reality broke some new ground for me, combining brief, hardcore-inspired moments with an epic death doom piece. Now, nearly 4 years later, Dark Superstition is here, folks, and it's preserving their raw-as-fuck essence even after joining forces with Nuclear Blast. This album boasts unforgettable tracks too, like Dead Star, The Black Curtain, Superstitious Vision, reflecting their more refined, Dismember-esque sound. You know what's awesome too is this album was actually produced by Kurt Ballou, Converge, which everything he touches is just metal gold. Dark Superstition solidifies Gatecreeper's mastery here, establishing them as a leading force in heavy death metal darkness that they've been doing. And you know what? They've boldly explored a new territory here, and I fucking love it. Check it out.
BleakHeart, Silver Pulse. This is the sophomore release and my first run with this band, and I gotta say, I'm thoroughly impressed. I was very intrigued by the band getting tossed into a doom metal shoegaze subgenre fusion. I'm not really sure that this is an accurate description. Why don't you take a listen for yourself and decide. I would compare their sound more to bands like Helga, Crippled Black Phoenix, and Mesa. Bands that weave that kind of celestial post-rock sound with hard-hitting metal sections. Trust me, this band knows how to drop the hammer. Did you notice the production in either of those clips? It's one of my favorite things about this record. According to their Bandcamp page, this record is fully analog, and it really comes through with all of its sonic nuances. This record is inspired by the impermanence of our physical bodies, how we will all succumb to disease, illness, and ultimately death. It's a harrowing subject, personal to both the band and anyone else that has experienced the tribulation of how fragile life is. Embrace the fragility, Forgemates. This is an introspective record, well worth your time. Despite the slow tempo on this record, it's paced like a bullet train and begs for repeat listens.
Definitely a sleeper hit, folks. Don't miss it. Pallbearer, Mine Burns Alive. Since their debut, Pallbearer's evolution has been a highly remarkable journey for the band, showcasing their ability to craft devastatingly heavy and emotionally resonant doom with progressive metal influences. Initially, it took me some time to grasp their latest release, but Mine Burns Alive ultimately reveals itself as a masterpiece in maturity, fragility, heavy as fuck resonance, and just it's reminiscent of their classic debut, which I loved. The opening track, Where the Light Fades, sets the tone with Brett Campbell's seasoned vocals and intricate melodies woven together with subtle dynamics, and this theme stays consistent throughout. I would say that this is Brett's most vulnerable vocal performance out of all of their records so far. While Mine Burns Alive ventures beyond the confines of traditional doom, it does retain its highly satisfying heaviness, similar to their debut at times, while incorporating elements from their middle era of their discography. This album is mind-blowing and emotionally charged as fuck. It's alive with sophistication and intensity. I fall in love with it more and more every spin.
I think this might actually be my favorite by them. It kind of takes all their best elements from their earlier stuff, from their softer era. They made something really special with this.
It is refined.
That's all we got for you today. Thanks for tuning in to The Forge, the best of May. We didn't get to nearly all of them. What are your favorites? Leave them down below.
And check out some of our other videos right here.
Go with the gods, Forgemates. The silver pulse is beating.